You probably all have all heard the story of Humpty Dumpty. It goes like this, and you can kind of say the parts that I skip. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. But I was on my horse that day. I was a knight in full armor, and I was riding along, and there lying on the ground, all splattered all over the ground, scrambled like a big egg, was Humpty Dumpty. And as I looked down, I saw a pair of red lips, and they started to talk to me. "Hey, who are you walking by here? I can't see in my eyes, rolled over behind the tree way over there. And, oh, what are you? Who are you? I can hear you somewhere. My ears are laying around. I can't see you, though." I said, "I'm a knight. What happened to you?" "Oh, I was dancing around on my wall, and I fell off, and no one can put me together again, not even the king's horses and the king's men." I said, "Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear this." "Well, you're a knight. Would you try to put me together again?" I've never put an egg together again after it was broken. I don't think that's possible, Humpty Dumpty. I'm sorry." "Oh, what's your name?" "Well, I don't like to tell my name because people think it's kind of strange and not very interesting. But I'll tell you, my name is Sir Quain. It's spelled K for knight, W for without, A for Anne, I for interesting, and N for name. Sir Quain, the knight without an interesting name." And Humpty said, "Oh, I'll tell you what. If you put me together again, I'll tell you where you can get an interesting name." "You will?" "Yes, I will. I promise. I'll try it." So I reached down and I picked up a couple pieces of his egg, and I put them together, and they fit well like a puzzle. But when I let go, they just fell right down on the ground. I said, I'm sorry, Humpty. I can't do it. I need glue, and I don't have any glue." And Humpty said, "What? What kind of knight are you? You don't have any glue." We knights don't carry glue with us. We have swords and things like that, but we don't carry glue. "Oh, no, a knight without glue. Wait a minute. Over there behind the tree, when my eyes are lying there, they're looking straight up in the air, and they can see a beehive up in the tree." "A beehive? What good is that? We're looking for glue, not bees." No. Inside a beehive, the bees make something real sticky. I think it's called, what is it called? Honey, yeah. And you could stick your sword up in there, get a little honey on the end of it, and then you could glue me together with that honey. I'll try it. So I went over and I stuck my sword up in the beehive very carefully so as not to disturb the bees, and pulled it down, and I had a little honey on there. And I took it and I rubbed it on the pieces of his egg, and I glued them all together again. And pretty soon I had them all together except one little piece I was going to put on the top, And his red lips lying down there in the pool of yellow yolk said, No, don't do that yet." "Well, there's a hole there on top, Humpty. I have to put that piece back." "No, not yet. You have to fill up the egg with the yolk that's all on the ground. That's me." And so I took my helmet off and scooped all of his yellow stuff up and poured it down in that hole, and then glued that on top. And then I took his red lips and I glued them on there, and I took his eyeballs and glued them on there, and then I took his cute little nose and stuck that on there. And I said, "Well, do you have ears? I don't see any ears laying around." "Yeah, I have ears. I don't know where they are, though. They were over there by my eyeballs, but now they're not. I wonder what happened." I looked up. Oh, look at that squirrel up in the tree. Those big ears on that little head of his. "Are those your ears, Humpty Dumpty?" "Oh, yes, they are. Oh, he took my ears." "Don't worry, I'll talk to him. Mr. Squirrel. Yes, he said. You look kind of funny with those big ears on that little head of yours. I do? Yes, you do. Well, I don't like that, so he took the big ears off, threw them on the ground. I picked them up, glued them onto Humpty Dumpty's head, and I said, there you go, Humpty, all together. Oh, no, no, no. You got to stick my little stick-like legs on the bottom of my shell, and then my arms have to go on there, too. Oh, I saw him. Then I picked up his little stick-like legs and his arms and put them on his head and his egg. And then he jumped up on top of the wall and started to dance up there and sing a silly song. I said, Humpty, what are you doing up there? You're going to fall again. No, I won't. I like dancing on my egg. I won't fall again. You're a silly egg. You are going to fall. Now wait a minute. Okay, before you fall again, where am I going to get my interesting name? You promised. Well, I just told you a big lie. I just wanted you to put me together. I don't know where you can get an interesting name. Now, go away and let me alone. I said, Humpty, you lied to a knight? And he saw my sword, you know. He thought I was going to break him apart, but I wouldn't have done it, but he thought so. So he started to think like this to himself. I got to tell that knight something. What should I tell him? I know what I'll tell. Oh, Sir Queen, knight without an interesting name, if you climb up on my wall and look down on the other side, the children come and they write all kinds of interesting names on the other side of my wall. And you could get an interesting name for yourself by looking over the other side. Humpty, are you telling me the truth? Oh, yes, I am, of course. And so I climbed up on top of his wall, and I leaned over looking down, you know, to see if I could see any names on the other side of the wall. And Humpty snuck up behind me, and he pushed me off the wall and clashed down on the ground I was in that armor. Oh, ooh, Humpty Dumpty, that's not nice to push anyone. And I looked on the other side of the wall. There were no names there at all. And I said, you lied to me again, Humpty Dumpty. And he kept dancing on his wall, singing that silly song. I'm Humpty Dumpty, dancing on my wall. I won't fall. Goodbye, Humpty Dumpty. You're a bad egg. And I walked away and was getting on my horse. And all of a sudden, the bees came out of the beehive. And they flew around Humpty Dumpty. And they smelled their honey. And they got mad as hornets, those bees did, and they whacked on him and knocked him off his wall and splat all over the ground he was again. And his red lips, lying in the pool of yellow yolk, said, oh, Sir Queen, please put me together again. I won't go back on my wall. I learned my lesson. All right, but I'm not going to use honey. The bees don't like it. Here's some mud over here, and I picked some mud up and smeared it on all the pieces of his egg and put them together. And he looked kind of muddy, but as soon as I put his stick-like legs on him, he jumped up on the wall again and started that dance up there and sing that silly song. I said, all right, Humpty Dumpty, I'm going. Goodbye. And as I rode away, way in the forest, I heard a sound. Whoa! Splat! I think he fell again. And maybe someday I'll go by that way and put him together again. But I told you this story for 3 important reasons, 3 lessons that we learned from Humpty Dumpty, not to be like him. Number 1, if you're an egg, would you be dancing on a wall? No, because you're fragile. And you need to be careful too. We can break too. So being careful is very important. You don't want to do dangerous things like when you don't have to. You don't want to do that. Take risks. Number 2, remember Humpty used his tongue to tell a lie to the knight. You only want to use your tongue to tell the truth. And the 3rd thing that Humpty Dumpty did that was very naughty is he took his hands and he pushed the knight off the wall. Your hands were not made to be pushing people or pinching people or poking them. No, your hands were made to help them, to pat them on the head and tell them, you know, you love them, or they did a good job, things like that. open the door for people, carry something for them. That's what your hands were made for by God, don't you see? So those are the 3 lessons that you learn. And I hope you enjoyed the story. And please tell your teacher, my granddaughter, that you are going to be more careful. You're going to tell the truth. Okay. And you also are going to use your hands to be kind to one another. Thank you very much.